everybody. Welcome back to Fireside Chats with AR Farina. That is me, AR Farina. We are here for season 3, Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen's most famous, best work. Not my favorite, but most famous, and definitely the best of them all. We're going to talk about Pride and Prejudice. We're going to talk in this season. Obviously, we're going to get into it, but we're going to break things down a little bit. We're going to have the ongoing conversation about why this is everybody's favorite, why it is the best, what it does. We would be remiss if we didn't have the conversation about the Darcy of it all and the brooding hero. Probably have a little bit of a conversation as we get in when we get into the Darcy episode about the Darcy versus Rochester weird thing that's out there. I don't even think it's a competition. I don't even understand why we have that conversation, but we'll get there. We'll talk about Lizzie and one of everybody's favorite heroines. Jane, one of the sweetest characters. Charlotte Lucas, the best friend in all of Austendom, and possibly one of the best friends in all of literature. Like, she ranks up there with Horatio as being like an amazing best friend. So we'll talk about her. And so this book is interesting, and we'll talk about obviously the kissing, like why the kissing part of it becomes so famous and why that's what people want this story to be. So we will be remiss if we didn't talk about the romance of it all, and Lizzie and Darcy and Jane and Bingley and all the other crazy stuff that happens in the book. But there's 5 sisters. This is going to be a longer season because we've got 5 sisters. We're going to give them all their due. I think that's important. We're not going to just do an and the rest situation. We'll do a rest of the cast, but there's a lot of characters that I think are worthy each of their own show. So we'll have the 5 Bennet sisters. We'll have Charlotte Lucas, Bingley, Darcy. We'll talk about the villains. There's plenty of villains. We'll have the conversation, is Mrs. Bennet a villain? And that's going to be an interesting thing. And so, to me, one of the overarching things we have to discuss is what I think Pride and Prejudice does a little bit differently than the previous books we've done, and really a little bit differently than any of the books we've done. This isn't just about class in the way that we've discussed it so far. So in Mansfield Park and Sense Sensibility, I've used class and wealth interchangeably, and so the Dashwoods become poor, and so now they're of a lower class. And Fanny Price is poor, and she is of a lower class. In this, the Bennets aren't poor. It's just due to the legal patriarchal nonsense of the era. The girls, the Bennet girls, are going to be poor. Mr. Bennet is an English gentleman of some renown. He's well known. Longbourn is not a bad estate in any way. They are important in the area. Everything is above board. They are of the right class. They're friends with the Lucases, Sir Lucas. And they're high-ranking officials, enough that they get invited to Bingley's party, right? Like, he's a big enough of a gentleman for that. However, so class isn't the problem. It's money that's the problem, because the money can't move forward. And so when we get to the Mrs. Bennet part of this show, we'll have a conversation about her. Is she a true villain? Is her heart in the right place? Is Mr. Bennet, is he the hero that he is portrayed in the movies? Maybe. He's a very interesting, funny character. Mr. and Mrs. Bennet don't have names. That'll be funny. We'll obviously talk about religion, as we will. So therefore, we'll talk about Mr. Collins, and we'll talk about the military. So we'll talk about Mr. Lucas, and other members of the military who show up. One of the villains is a member of the military, but one of the really great supporting characters is too. So it'll be a little bit of everything, and it should be lots of fun. We'll touch on all the things, but every character is we're going to have a lot to say about each character. So buckle up, be prepared. We'll definitely make comparisons to the movie, and ultimately we'll get to the end and we'll make comparisons to my book, Universal Truth. And so we will get ready. And I do think it's probably important to acknowledge the most famous opening line in all of probably literature, English literature, definitely of Austendom. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. And from there, we will set our scene. So join me next time when we talk about one of the greatest heroines And I know I'm using all these great big greatest best words because that's this book is worthy of that. Lizzie Bennett, join me next time. See you then. Bye.